YouTube's going here. All right, and the Zoom recording's going, and YouTube is thinking about it. And there it goes. Okay, so we are now recording and live, and I'm going to bring the public in. All right. All yours, Mike. Should I unmute? And
Mike, you're on mute.
there you go. All right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it is 7:02, and I'm going to call the meeting of the Region 9 Facilities and Fields Committee special meeting to order, being held remotely pursuant to Executive Order 7B. And our first order of business is approval of the minutes from March 16th. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? It was a tie, so we'll give Mary Lee makes the motion and Gwen seconded. Are there any comments, additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, that moves us on to item number 3, which is public comment. If there's a member of the public in attendance that would like to make a comment at this time, please either wave your hand visually or use the reaction button at the bottom. Make yourself known. There's also a public comment session at the end of the meeting. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 4, which is committee member comment. Is there any member of the committee who would like to make a comment at this time?
Mr. Chair, I would. It's a point of order that I need some clarification from you as the chair or Mr. Johnston as the overall board chair. I'd like to nominate someone from the community to join the committee. So what would be the protocol for me doing that?
Nominate a member of the community to join the committee?
Yes.
So in order to do that, we would need we would have to handle that at a regular board meeting. We would have to change the charge of the committee to change the composition of the committee, and that would have to be approved. And then we could change the composition of the committee, add someone to that.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Okay. Okay. Any other committee member comments? Hearing none, we are on to discussion and possible action.
Mike, Gwen looks like she had a comment.
Gwen's hand is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon.
I was just gonna clarify that in the past, once we move forward from the fields and facilities, when we actually start a project, then we form a building committee, which does typically have a member of the public on, correct?
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, Gwen, that's basically what I was getting towards the building committee. So thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think that.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Any further committee member comment? Okay. So that brings us on to our first discussion and possible action item, which is the JBHS cafeteria, or gymnasium cafeteria HVAC and safety improvement project. And so we will try to address, we did get several letters. I think most of you on the committee should have received. There was, I think, 2 or 3 letters that came in from members of the community in advocating in favor of this project. but I'd like to kind of move forward with the overall direction and planning for this project. At our last meeting, we did have a couple of firms that were on a state bid list come and give just brief qualifications overview, because obviously that would that's something that we would have to post and do an RFP for if we were going to take bids or proposals for a design aspect of the project. So again, as we move this thing forward, I think we really need to decide how we proceed with this project. Initially, we had discussed that we could complete this project using the Easy IQC program, which is a state-approved procurement program that has been used a great deal in Reading for the John Reed Middle School and the Reading Elementary School. We also have a history. We did use it at Joel Barlow to do the front sidewalk. So that program is it's a procurement program where the state takes bids from numerous contractors throughout the state and throughout the region. And the contractors bid on a task catalog, which includes virtually every construction task that they're known. And they give a bid on each task, and then a watchdog group called the Gordian Group is designated by the state to vet through those proposals and determine qualified contractors based on pricing and again qualifications. And then contractors are awarded regions throughout the state to for coverage for municipalities and school districts that want to do projects. So we discussed that at one time. Actually, we discussed it twice, I guess. And the committee was of the opinion to move forward and get a price from the Easy IQC program based on the proposals or the guidance, I guess, that we received at the last meeting. It appears as though creating a larger scale project with a more inclusive scope will increase the cost, quite a bit, and will also probably create a timing issue relating to design and competitive bidding proposals and organization. So I don't know. Again, if we do decide to use the program, my opinion is that we could do it this year and we could do it within our budget. If we choose to go the other route, I can only give you my opinion that I think it will be very challenging. If we go that route, I guess we would have to, we couldn't make that decision at this time until we saw how quickly the bids came in and, how we were able to organize the project that way.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
So since our last meeting, we had the presentation from the design build firm and from the mechanical engineer. We pulled together some additional information. So what we have to date, part of the number they gave us of the 1.2 million included, and the vast majority of that number was for the chillers. So if you back the chillers out of that equation, we have two existing quotes for the HVAC work. We have 3 quotes for the painting work. We have 2 quotes for the wall pads, and we have 2 quotes for the gym floor. So the only thing I don't have a quote for right now is the bleacher work. But on those various points, we have 2, at least a minimum of 2, in some cases 3 quotes. So if you back the chillers out, the price definitely fits within our budget. The chiller adds a certain level of complexity in regards to what the chairman said about getting it done within our time frame. Taking the chiller out removes that sort of issue, and also removes almost $800,000 worth of the cost. So the 2 HVAC quotes we have to date in written quotes, the average, if you average their cost, it comes up to be $379,000 for the cafeteria and the gym. You factor in the gym, the average for the gym painting, wall pads, and gym floor, we're up to like I'm rounding here, $460,000, which fits in the budget. So the question really is, do we take the chiller out? Because the chiller may not have ever been in the original proposal, but it's something that we need, but we may not be able to afford money-wise or time-wise at this point. So if we back the chiller out, you're basically back on schedule for what I think you guys contemplated last year.
Well, that's certainly a suggestion that can be considered. I would say that you need the chiller. If you don't have a chiller, you.
Yeah, as I say, can you clarify for the chiller again?
The question I have, and
its purpose
that includes the chiller, and it breaks it down. And there was an original quote that happened prior to my arrival that did not include the chiller. So my understanding, the chiller was not in the original quote. It was just focused on the gym and the cafeteria. Is that incorrect on my part? Because like I said, I wasn't here. So my understanding, the servitoria and the gym were the primary focuses, not the chiller. Is that incorrect?
So when the project was initially was first planned, the chiller at that time was functioning correctly, and so there was concern that actually, that's not true to say it was functioning correctly. That the chiller was functioning, but we were keeping our eye on it because it had a slow leak. It was slowly losing its charge. And so over the course of the next several months, it became very apparent that the chiller was no longer it was no longer serviceable. And so then actually Walter did look at just replacing one of the chillers. And again, just for clarification to the committee, the chiller that is no longer functioning, which is the same age, model, and everything as the chiller that's still working, kind of, is the chiller that's not functioning is the one closest to the block wall. So therefore, in order to replace that, you would have to virtually disassemble the other one to take it out of the way, to remove the one that's no longer functioning, and then put the old one that's on its last leg back in. That's how you do the one chiller. So I would not advise either replacing one chiller or not doing the chiller. I think that is probably not a good option for us.
Right.
So,
I do think we added those as separate line items onto the capital plan, from, again, when we started. Previously it wasn't a concern, and then we've added those on as separate items. And then I think in this go round of the project, we said, yes, while we're up there working on it,
they've been included because they're an HVAC component.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, the chillers provide the cooling for the other areas of the building.
Correct.
So they are not connected to the 2 areas that we're considering expanding the the conditioning. They service other areas of the building, and I think Walter will probably nod his head when I say it's going to be a big challenge this spring when it starts getting warm to try and keep the building cool. So
I would agree with that, and to me, the chiller should be done. But if you got to make choices, I want the committee to understand there are cost components and timing components to each one of these, and the chiller is the one that may be a bridge too far, money-wise and time-wise. That's my only simple point.
Yeah, well, and again, it all depends how the chillers are done. So replacing the existing chillers with new chillers, different manufacturer, same capacities, is one way, and then, again, I don't like to refer to information that we obtained in an unofficial proposal, because that, I don't think that's appropriate, but there were
Mike, Mike, what's the impact? Like if we were to separate them out, we still have the leaky one that's not being beneficial, but if we put in HVAC with the old chillers and then do the chillers next summer or wintertime or whenever the kids aren't in the building.
Well,
obviously it's not going to be as cool, but are we running into any other risks, or is it just kind of silly to split those up? We might as well do them while we're there at the same place, working in the same spot.
Nobody says you have to do them at the same time, but there's economies of scale, and you'd probably be foolish not to do it now. That's just a single opinion, though. Again,
okay.
You can get people that will tell you something
to Clarence's
different.
point, though, if they set us over the top on the timing, so we can't get it done over the summer or over the budget, then that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, but again, you're considering. I think we're talking about HVAC projects again, that we're isolating the HVAC aspect of it without including other components that would go along with it, roofing, general construction, electric, mechanicals. There's a lot of aspects of it other than just the HVAC aspect of it. So you're still, I believe there will still be considerable challenges to be able to get it done in the time frame that we have discussed for the amount of money that we have budgeted for this.
Mr. Chair, to clarify, when you say challenges, what are you referring to? All three components of HVAC, or just the cafeteria and the gym?
Okay, so just to be clear again, I think what I stated was that it would be challenging to complete all aspects of this project within the budget and the time frame if we go out to competitive bid. That's, again, just an opinion based upon I guess 41 years of experience in the trade. So
and the project then, again, just I think to help answer Clarence's question, is we're considering the project again without splitting things up. It's the chillers, the HVAC, all the gym work, the floors, the pads, the painting, all that is the project in its entirety.
Yes, along with all the collateral work that goes along.
All the other electrical and everything else that goes along with it.
Correct.
So if we're splitting up things to get it done, or for under budget, but the project itself is defined as what we just went through.
Right. And so, again, so just to clarify, a little further, I did speak with the construction company giving, that's working on the proposal for the Easy IQC proposal. And just so we know where we are right now, and again, so the difference between the proposal and the pricing and the scope of the work through the program is this is an inclusive price. Okay, this is based on the written scope of work completing the project. Okay, it includes electric, it includes roofing, it includes rigging the units onto the roof. It includes, everything that would be associated with this type of project. And so This would include 2 new chillers, same type of water chilled coolers, water cooled chillers. Sorry, I can't speak tonight. And they would be train units, 140 ton, just like what's there now, two 140 ton train units. This would include the rooftop unit for the cafeteria. The rooftop unit that we're talking about is a 50 ton unit. I know other firms have talked about a smaller unit, but based upon the square footage that unit supplies, the length of the ductwork, and the capacity and usage of the cafeteria space and servery, that is what we believe to be an adequate sizing would be. The gym would have a 40 ton package unit, roof mounted 40 ton unit with hot water, supplemental heating, and tempering of the outside air. So it would not be electric, it would be hot water based on the existing water supply that is there. That would include the new bleachers, the bleacher remediation, the gates, the padding, the gym floor, and the new backboards and goals for the basketball court as well. That would also include shifting the court towards the outside wall slightly to give more clearance between the spectator seating and the court side. That's something that was requested from the athletic department. Again, that's not my decision. But anyway, so there's some variables. The ductwork, the existing ductwork, we would have to verify that it's insulated. Now there's some sound insulation in the existing ductwork because of its proximity to the cafeteria, but we're still uncertain whether all the ductwork has external wrapping on it for temperature. If it is not wrapped, that's something that would have to be done. So right now, based on my discussion this morning, the known costs are for the entire project would be $791,715.93. Again, that does not include insulating the ductwork. Oh, wait a minute. No, that includes insulating the ductwork if necessary, structural costs, and rigging. Okay. What it doesn't include is removing the ceiling to address the ductwork, because I know there's a drop ceiling in the cafeteria, but I'm not sure about the servery, whether it's a hard ceiling. If it's a hard ceiling, that would also have to come down in order to wrap all of that ductwork, and then we could consider whether to put a hard ceiling back or a drop ceiling or whatever. But the cost of that is probably going to run, another $6K or something like that. Again, rough estimates without measuring and taking the square footage and figuring all that out. The other things that aren't included in this price is the bond fee of 2% of the total cost. So we'll say $16K. And Town of Reading permit fees are also not included. So again, based on worst case scenario, ductwork is not insulated, taking down the hard ceiling, bond fee, Town of Reading permit fees, and everything. Again, this is just a projected number of like $830K. And when I say a projected number, it's based on that hard number of 791, 715.93, which includes the units, the install, you know, all the known costs are included in there, including the gym work, and a full-time supervisor on site all day, every day. So those are the numbers where we are.
So Mike, sorry, can you summarize? So what was that roughly when you threw all those in? It was 8, what?
It's like 830.
830. Okay, thank you.
Again, and that's not the fixed number is 791, 715. That, you know, I'm just projecting how much it could cost to take the ceiling down and
I got it.
what the bond fee was. That those aren't my areas.
Yeah,
of
no,
expertise.
I got it. I didn't get the total number, so thank you.
Okay, so also is they've confirmed that the deadline can be met. It can be done this summer. There's not an issue with getting it done this summer. Again, the only variable, you know, the only contingency is that the timing and, you know, of our agreement and the receipt of the purchase order from the district, which would allow the company to order the equipment. Equipment has a lead time. Usually, you know, perfect world, it's 6-week lead time. Sometimes in times like we are now, where companies have slowed down manufacturing because of COVID, and school districts and municipalities are doing lots of HVAC projects, there could be a more lengthy lead time for that. So, but again, certainly doesn't appear at this point to be anything that would impact negatively the timing and completion of the project within our time frame. So that is the report I have, the option from, again, the Easy IQC program. And I guess the committee is going to have to, at some point very shortly, make a recommendation, or, you know, first we should have a discussion, then we should make a recommendation to the full board as to how we advise moving forward. And again, I think that we should also probably, you know, hear more from the public. I know, you know, we had short notice of this meeting. You know, we posted it yesterday, and we're holding it today. So I think it's, you know, probably significant also to hear feedback from the community relating to this project. But certainly we've heard it for the past 2.5 years, I think. It seems like there's a, you know, a lot of support for this project. It seems like it's long overdue. Again, bringing in fresh air to the gym, I think will make a significant improvement to the well-being of our, not only our athletes, but spectators and students when we use the space for, you know, educational purposes and other uses. I think it's important that we remedy the lack of indoor air quality at this point. So, so with that, I mean, I'll open it up to committee members to, you know, further this discussion and see if there's any direction, which way we're leaning towards moving forward. And then I also think, you know, we have other items on the agenda, but I would so entertain a motion if someone wanted to add a public comment to hear from folks who might have tuned in just to, you know, become aware of this project as well. I think that's an opportunity I'd like to grant. But let's open it up just first to committee members. Is there any committee member that has any comment or feedback at this time that they would like to share? Walter, is that your finger up? Yes, sir, go. You're muted though. You're still, there you go.
Okay, how about now?
Now you're good.
Okay, a couple of questions. Does all this include BMS tie-ins?
Yes.
Okay. Screws, when are they planning on doing the changeover on those? Here's my concern. We're getting ready to go into cooling season. We have one running screw right now. I turn that thing on, I turn that off to change it out. We've got nothing for springtime. So we'd be looking at summer once school let out, which means we're going to have no HVAC in the entire building from whenever we turn that off.
Understood. So what I will say to you is, everything would depend on obviously the timing of the agreement. If we went, I assume you're talking about if we go with the easy IQC type of proposal.
If we go with anything, I
Anything.
need to know.
It sounds like with anything, if we got to shut it off and it's going to be pretty hot in the building.
Well, exactly. So obviously, you would not shut the, you're not going to shut it off during your cooling season. We're talking about probably doing this work in the summer, right? Once school is out. Yes, it's going to impact for that time when it's down. I'm sure it can be coordinated that the chillers are scheduled and sequenced, in a way that we are down for as little time as possible during the, during the summer. But this was, we did discuss this at length in the fall, that if we had been able to move forward earlier, we could have done this work ahead of the cooling season, which would have been optimal for you, Walter.
But if we're doing it during the summer, no matter which path we go, right, we got to shut off the air conditioning to replace it. So we're just going to have to schedule it, right?
Right, but do we look at doing that? Do we look at doing the screws during the summer, or do we wait into fall? Turning off the AC in that building for the summer, we've seen what happens with mold and humidity and stuff. And while, the Nisbet units aren't ideal, I worry about the conditions inside. So do we look at doing that section and hope that I have one unit running with no backup? All right,
Well,
I'm down to 50% capacity. So I'm like in a very precarious place as far as, running and protecting my building, keeping people happy and keeping my building safe. So
Right.
Timing, there's like really no good time. I would like it done yesterday. However, I don't know if shutting it down in the summer. So is there a way of phasing this where we would try and pull it through to fall? Because even if we were to leave one in place, the one that's running is the one that's in the way of doing the one that's not.
So let me just say this. Obviously, your concerns are operational, which is what your focus is and should be. Absolutely, if we wanted to phase it and do the chiller work later, maybe in the fall or whatever, I'm sure that could be arranged. Okay. I also believe that a conversation between the mechanicals, once the units are here, they can be here. They don't have to be installed. You know what I mean? There's plenty of room that we could store them down in that basement, right? Get them in, bring them down there, or just store them somewhere else. Okay. Obviously, we would be very concerned with doing it in the optimal way, and we would not want to shut down for the whole summer. And I don't believe, again, I know a lot about it, but I'm not going to claim to be an HVAC mechanic. I don't think installing the chillers is going to take all summer long. I think, again, that's probably a 3-4 week, something like that. Again, worst case scenario, not knowing. And again, so the conversation could be had as to whether you feel, you'd want to roll the dice and do it in June or July, or whether you'd want to wait until September, because, Walter, anyway we do it, we're rolling the dice because it could be 100 degrees in the middle of September or October too. So it's, it's just trying to sequence it to the most logical way to a
Yeah,
best of
I'm
our
trying to throw all
ability.
my options out there and my concerns.
Right.
Design approvals for the town, especially for bleachers and 80 and that I know that was an issue last time around. So
Correct.
we would have all that on
Engineer
pre-approval.
drawings for everything.
Okay. So stamped approved, no issues there, and town approval.
Correct.
All right. I
Can I
think
ask you a finance and legal question? The number sounds great. When could we get something in writing that we could, hang our hats on?
So we can't get anything in writing until we can resolve the unknowns, obviously, right? So we have to get in and see whether or not the duct work is insulated, which if I had to guess, I would say no, it's not, but I don't know. So we would have to again do further investigation to resolve some of the unknowns, but I believe they could probably come up with a proposal within the next, I don't know, 2 weeks, something like that, depending on now everything. Also, the other variable here is this is the company providing the proposal, but then it goes through the Gordian group and the Gordian group vets it. So, that takes time as well. But, again, the faster we move and move forward, then the quicker the final proposal can be obtained. But like I said, the proposal it's a buildup. It's not just like somebody saying, well, I think it's X for this and I think it's X for that. It's a buildup. This is the price of the equipment. These are the other tasks associated with installing that equipment. These are the tasks associated with modifying the dunnage. This is the steel modification. This is the structural engineer who approves all of it. All of that stuff is built into the proposal and is built up onto the price. And that's how the price is obtained. It's all been previously vetted by the state so that each task gets vetted through that the charge is appropriate with what the contractor had bid on that task originally through their proposal.
So Mike, having said that, what can we do to help them speed along their process to answer the unknowns? Because until we have something in writing, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do until we have at least something in writing specifying what they're going to do and what they're going to charge to do it. Like if they need to get in the building, we can arrange them to get in the building, and I just want to make sure we're doing that in this time period.
Of course. And so, yes, we are stating the obvious, which is, yes, we need to make the building accessible so that when they want to come down and take a look, they can get in, and then we can get, some of these, again, what I did speak to him today and what he worked on today was, getting a number for insulating all that duct work, which, without taking the ceiling down and everything, he calculated it all based on the lengths of all the duct work on the plans and did a pricing based on that and the type of insulation and the labor for insulating all that stuff. So he obviously couldn't estimate the ceiling. I know that there's a drop ceiling in the cafeteria. I think there's a hard ceiling in the servery, but I wouldn't. Maybe Walter knows, he can nod his head. But is it not hard up there? Partly hard, right? There's so there's a significant amount of the duct work is up there. The two supplies come off the unit and they branch off. One goes to the cafeteria, one goes to the servery, and there's a ton of duct work up there, and it would all have to be wrapped in order to prevent condensation and dripping and that it's already been it already has some sound attenuation inside the duct work. It didn't help with that old rattly unit, but it will probably help some with the newer unit. So and as far as the gym, I did discuss that with him as well. And again, so if we do go this route, we can.
So Mike, could they do all this in one visit or two?
Well,
or I mean, we know they need access. They got to look at stuff. Is this like a one time?
Yeah.
They
This
could
is
come down
this
this
is
week
the
and do it,
one.
or they need to be 2 or 3 times here looking at stuff.
No. This is a one visit down. Look at the ceilings, measure that up. I think they also want to verify electric supply. We gave them kind of rough ideas when they were there, but they want to kind of look at it and make sure that everything's going to work. Everything else, I think, has been factored in. And
they can do it in the work week when the kids are in the building, or is it something they have to do off hours or weekend?
Sorry, you're freezing up. You're the tech guy and you're freezing up.
Yeah, is it something they can do during the workday, or do they need to do off hours or weekend?
No, they will come at a time that works for the school. We're not going to bring them in there in the middle of the lunch waves, but I'm sure they could certainly come down an afternoon or a morning or whenever we feel is best. And again, just like when they were there before, we're not talking about having them tear down the ceilings. We're talking about maybe going up on a ladder, looking up above the suspended ceiling, measuring the amount of hard ceilings and the amount of ceiling work that would need to be done. Again, I would want to have a discussion with them. Now my computer's saying I'm unstable. I hope I'm not jumping, but I would also like to know whether I think we would probably, especially in the cafeteria, the amount of duct work that's in there, we could probably remove tiles and take down some grid and then put it back rather than doing a whole new drop ceiling in the entire dining room. But I don't know that for sure until I speak with them and they see everything. And so I don't know whether that number included, all new. That's why that's a variable number. We got to get them to come in and take a look at and measure so that they can solve those unknowns to give us that fixed price.
Okay. So it's likely we could get them here, I don't know, before the end of the week, but at least next week, and they could do it all in one trip, so that they can get the estimate a little tighter between the 790 and 830 where they're at.
Right, and then once we have a price proposal, again, we're not locked into anything, and I would strongly recommend that we have a Zoom meeting, and we bring, we invite John Mazzali, who is their HVAC engineer for Millennium Construction, which is the company, and open it up to questions. I'm sure he would be happy to share his aspects of the design, why things were done a certain way. I did speak to him today, and we were very concerned about noise in the gym. We didn't want to put a noisy, clanky system in the gym. He's proposing putting spirals instead of the Zeppelin, and these special throws that will throw the air further but are extremely quiet. So it's even more quiet than an office building air system would be. So he was kind of concerned with that, and that stemmed from my comments about how we have concerts in there, and we have, I know right now we have the one big concert in there, but it may be an area that we really want to use in other ways once everything is completed. So is there any other comments from the committee members? Do you want to make a motion and maybe open it to the public and then we can circle back or whatever? Yes, Gwen. Sorry, I didn't see your hand at first. Looking right at you. You're muted.
There we
now.
There you go.
Well, I don't have any of the kind of questions that Walter had. And I have no opinions on spirals versus Zeppelins. But I was a strong proponent of this project last year, and I was really disappointed that we weren't able to get it done. Obviously, COVID threw more than a wrench into everything last year. But it seems like the variable costs for this are pretty small. And it was really, some of the stuff that we heard last week was really appealing on a big picture level. But it seems like it's a little out of our league right now. I don't think there's the appetite with the public to go out to bond for a larger project. But since we do have the budget to get this done, and we've been putting money away for it, I would really hope that we can get it done. And if there's anything that I can do to support, I would do that. But I think that time is of the essence, as we've all been talking about. So I think we should proceed. And I'd be absolutely happy to hear from members of the public if folks want to chime in. I don't know if we should.
Yeah, we would need to do a motion to put it on there.
Yeah, we do. But yes, so if someone wants to make a motion to add a public comment session, I would certainly entertain that.
I will make a motion to add a public comment section to the agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Denny. Is there a second? Second by Mary Lee was first. Sorry, Julia. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a comment at this time? And I hope so, because otherwise I did it for nothing.
And I saw Gina's hand as well, and I see Joe. So, and Matthew, but it doesn't look like Matthew there. So you just tell me which one. I've got people, I can unmute them. So just let me know the order. Right.
Okay, so Gina, can we circle back to you with committee member, or
I was trying to get in there with committee member and you went too fast for me. The comment I wanted to make, it's okay, because I'm very aware of what happened a few years ago when we had no air and no air circulation in the building for a period of time. And we had a terrible mold, mildew. We had to bring in units. It was a real problem. So I just think it's something to pay close attention to, that if the air is going to go off. In fact, it's kind of a question I have for Walter or people like you, Gwen, right? My degree is in education. I don't know all of these details, but I do know that without the air circulation, it's more than just saying, oh, people will be a little uncomfortable. It really does can have some serious damage to the building. So I guess my question is, how long would the air need to be off? And is there any way to do that part of this not in the middle of summer when we're most concerned about the air and the air circulation? So that, because we do know, just again, from an educational standpoint, we will be using the building more, most likely this summer in doing an expanded summer academy for students. So we anticipate more students in the building. Walter has been a wonderful mentor for me. So I know that our library runs on their own rooftop units. I could even call it an RTU in Walter speak. And so we could move some things there if we needed to. So my concern is twofold. What happens to the air in the whole building? How long would it be off? And could this be done any other time? Thank you.
So we briefly touched on that with Walter. And as we said, obviously we would have to plan that and schedule that accordingly. We're not looking to do something that's going to be detrimental. And just for clarification to the public, we don't have mold. We have moisture issues when we turn off the air circulation, and sometimes spores can accumulate, but we really don't have any mold issues in the building, and that we are going to make sure that we do everything we can to preserve and protect the infrastructure of our building. So we're not going to do anything that's going to shut it down for any length of time. But if we could just circle through the members of the public, because I feel bad that we opened it up, and so now we're circling back. So public comment.
See Joe's hand up. So
That's
Joe.
great. If you can.
Yeah, I got
Joe.
everybody. I got Joe, Matthew, the lady at Matthew Mitchell, and then Mr. Schwartz as well. So
okay.
Let's go
So
around.
Joe, you're up first.
You should be
Thank
able to
you.
unmute.
Unmuting.
Yep, there you go.
Hi, thank you very much for allowing the public comment. I appreciate that. I've been a staff member in ER9 for 25 years working at John Reed, and I've been the basketball coach at Joe Barlow for 13 years. I want to first say that I recognize that we're very fortunate in this community. We have great fields. We have great facilities. We normally have 2 gyms when one isn't being used as a cafeteria. And I think what's really key is the fact that I know most of you know this, but students and student athletes do take a great sense of pride in their building, in their facilities. I've coached in other places and people say, oh, our gym's terrible, or our this is terrible, or our softball field is terrible. And no one's saying that about Barlow things at all, which is fantastic. But the gym especially has had HVAC. You know, it's been really cold. Other teams thought it was our strategy to freeze them out and mess up their shooters. But we've had, we're due for a floor. We're due for padding. We're due for an upgrade to the bleachers. The HVAC system upgrade would be terrific. And it's not just the students and student athletes at Barlow. The youth in town, whether it's volleyball, indoor baseball on a Saturday, and the youth basketball programs, they look at going to Barlow as like a super duper field trip. I teach middle school kids, and whenever they have a game at Barlow, they wear that as a badge of honor and can't wait to get there. So when I heard this proposal was on the table, I got really excited. I was talking to Mr. Santangeli about it, and it's just something that I think the school is ready for and would be a great comeback to what everybody has been going through. And Mike, the last thing, Mr. D, I know you don't need to hear this from me, but as a John Reed staff member in the gymnasium, with the remake that you were in charge of for our gym there came out fantastic. And you have my vote to do it one more time, and I know it'll be great. Thanks for your time, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll go to Matthew Mitchell on the name there, and you should be able to unmute.
Unmute. Thank you. I can. Unfortunately, I was not able to change the name, but this is Matthew's mother, Linda Meyer Mitchell. Hello. I just wanted to also indicate my support on the community support for this. I think HVAC type items are on the top of everybody's minds in this environment. There's nothing more important than having a healthy environment for our kids and good air quality. And I think this proposal seems to be, there's money available. While it is not a small amount of money to spend, I think it's really, really important. I also think it's one of those nice type of projects where many of the projects we do benefit some part of the Barlow community, but this one really benefits 100% of the Barlow community. All of the kids take their wellness classes in those gyms. 100% of them do. Close to 70% of our kids are athletes and use that gym often. Spectators come, staff members are in there. I think this is kind of a win-win for everyone, and I think it's a really great project, and I really hope it will go forward. My son, when I told him what I was going to do, said, yeah, and tell him we need a cool gym too. Did you see the new gym at what place? So cool like that. I will echo what Joe said. There is a great sense of pride in having a good gym. The most important thing, obviously, is the health concerns and safety and everything else. But 100% support it and think the community is behind doing this project.
Cool. Thank you.
And then Dirk Schwartz, go ahead. Oh. You should be able to unmute. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Dirk Schwartz. I just want to thank you also for opening it up to the public and having me. I'm just going to be really short and sweet. My daughter's a junior. She is a volleyball player, and I've had many conversations with Coach Carroll and Mavi about the facility and trying to practice in the gym, the high school gym. In the summer has been brutal. Sticking giant fans in the doors and everything you're trying to do there. So I'm really glad to see this moving forward. I'm disheartened that it got pushed back, but I guess just welcoming that kind of help to them. They're volleyball wise, they're a great team, and anything we can do to help them compared to some of the facilities they play at, is really, I hope we can get some cool air in there so they can play even better. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Right. Thank you. Okay, last call for public comment. Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none. Let's just kind of circle back. Was there any other committee member comments, discussions, or details that we want to go over at this time?
I think, Gwen, did you have your hand up earlier?
I was just going to say that we could also probably get additional portable dehumidifiers over the summer if we ever were in that situation for any place where there was moisture. And I really appreciate Joe Corollo's comments about the pride in the building that the students take. That wasn't something that I had thought that much about. I was mostly thinking about budget numbers and bleacher configurations, but that's important too.
Okay, great. So is there any other discussion here? Do we want, we previously voted to recommend to get a price proposal from this Easy IQC program. I don't know that we would need another motion to move forward in that direction. I do think it's important that we probably do need to, though, make a decision, make a recommendation, because if our preference is to go down a different path of competitive bidding and trying to hire a design firm and go that route, I think time is of the essence, and so we're going to need every minute possible. So I think it's probably a good idea if we kind of decide what our recommended process will be. Does that make sense?
So do you need are you looking for a motion to move one direction or the other, or? And I see Clarence. Hold on, let me unmute you, Clarence. Clarence, were you trying to speak?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself, and I realized you take it away from me. So, Mr. Chair, I have a question. I don't think you need, since you've already done a motion to get pricing for Easy IQC, you obviously don't need to do that again. I guess the question I have, process-wise, as we're waiting for that number to be written, I'm trying to understand why we need to make a choice, because it seems to me, for me, making a choice is based on the number. So if we don't have the number from anyone, I don't see how we can make a choice. In regards to competitive bid, we don't have to do that at all, but if we did, we're prepared to do that. But either way, for me, I need the data, what the number is, to make a decision. Just from my perspective, until we have a number, it's sort of hard to say we're gonna do a certain thing and not know concretely what that number is. Because if we've already authorized to get the number and they're getting for us, then shouldn't we just wait for the number? Okay, so again, maybe I wasn't clear. So what I'm suggesting here is, like I said, we do not need another motion to obtain a price proposal. We have already made that motion, okay? However, we have also discussed that we really, I think the committee was concerned as to whether or not the project in its entirety designed the way we had discussed could be completed within the time frame and within the price point that we had originally projected. And so I shared numbers tonight that
again, seem to indicate that we're within both of those parameters, within the time frame and within the price point. So obviously, I hope I wasn't unclear. No one's asking that we approve the contract right now or approve anything. That all will happen once we get a firm price proposal and it is vetted thoroughly by the program. And I will also look at it, and then it will come to the committee and everyone will look at it. Okay, so that's not something that we're looking to find out. What we are trying to understand, though, is that based on the fact that it seems to fit in with the time frame and with the scope and with the price point, is this the direction that we want to pursue, or do we feel that there's any advantage to pursuing a parallel road where somehow we're trying to solicit price points, which again, it's difficult because we're comparing apples to oranges. We would really need to get a designer and get an entire package put together. We could, obviously there are other design build HVAC contractors that you could price that aspect of it, but it really doesn't give you anything. If we want to go a different direction and we want to go competitive bid, there's a ton of work that needs to be done with multiple RFPs in probably 5 or 6 different areas, or a architectural firm has to be hired to put together a project package RFP to be able to go down that road. So I'm just saying, I would like to maybe help clarify what the direction is.
So can we get I don't know, bid package from Easy IQC, let's say by the 7th, so 2 weeks from now? If you're saying that they need to come down and do one visit, that gives them a full week to get that done, and that's 2 weeks out from now.
I can say
we could get the committee here together again, sometime after that.
Yeah,
soon after, and look at it. And
again, yes. So what? The only my only reluctance is because I don't know timing according to the program, according to the. I can say that we can move forward and ask them to put together this proposal and have it go through the program and be vetted, and we can see what that time frame is. I would hope it could be within the next 2 weeks. I don't know, because I don't know the timing of the program. Okay, but I know that we do need to do it quickly, and I think they realize that in order for equipment and stuff to be ordered, it has to be done quickly. The question that I'm trying to address really is there any benefit to trying to do, again, the parallel path for something at this time, or are we agreed to just pursue this path and acknowledge that if this path is not something that we favor in the end, that we recognize that this project probably is not going to get done this summer and it's going to need to go till next year. Yes, Mr. Zachary.
Then unmute. Yep, hold on. Good.
Mr. Chair of the board and Mr. Chair of the committee, I think Mr. D'Agostino has a very valid point in that he's saying you have to make a choice. To me, not having answers, to me, a parallel process makes sense, because we don't know what the answer is going to be on either end. If we do just Easy IQC, we wait for them to do what they have to do. If they like the results, we sign up and we go. If we don't like the results, what are our options then? So to me, I would take both paths, because if we're talking about RFPs, that's basically going to fall on my shoulders and maybe Walter's. And I'm committed, if that's what we got to do, to do it. So I don't see why we can't walk both paths unless there's something that prohibits us from doing both paths.
So explain how you would do both paths.
One and it doesn't work, then what are we stuck with? We've eliminated our options.
So can just for better understanding for me, explain how you would do both paths. Are you suggesting that you and Walter would write RFPs for all of these items, and then how would it be organized, and how would the committee fit in to all that? You'd need weeks to just to complete that part of it.
Well, RFPs I could probably have done by the end of this week, because I just did an RFP yesterday. So I've got templates, getting it done. We've already got quotes from at least two vendors in every category. So getting the RFP done is not the issue. The issue is if committee wants to review, because remember, if you can phrase the RFP that you can cancel at any point in time. So if you go down both paths and you get multiple data points, you can make decisions. I guess my concern is if let's just say we chose one, I'm not going to specify which one it is. If we chose one and it doesn't work out for us, then we're stuck. But if you choose both paths, at least you have some options.
No, I recognize what you're saying. I just I'm somewhat confused because you can't write an RFP. You don't have any drawings. You got nothing planned.
But that's not, at least for we've had vendors come in. We've got plans from one vendor. We've got plans in the works from another, and they're doing it on their own time and own cost and own risk. All right, so they're making their own proposals. So to say we don't have plans is not completely accurate. No, do we own plans? No.
Okay.
Does EasyIQC have plans? I don't see.
No. Look, I recognize and I want to be respectful. So, as an individual committee member, I have no objection. You can have at it, write your RFPs, figure it all out. I would like to see all those from the committee's perspective to make sure that what we're putting in and how we're wording it is accurate. And I would also ask that you be very careful that we follow all competitive bidding requirements and that everything is done legally and appropriately.
I rely on my legal training to make sure that happens, sir.
Yes, so we can reconvene and take a look at all your RFPs when they're developed and the plans.
We could do that via email as well, right?
No, we'd need a meeting to do that because that's we can't just look at that from the whole committee. One or two members could look, but if the whole committee is going to look, you need to have a public meeting. I think.
My simple question, Mr. Chairman, is.
Yes, sir.
There are multiple paths, and my question is, must we limit ourselves to one path? And I'm not saying which path is the right path. My question is, must we limit ourselves to one path? That's my question.
No, I understand your question, but I guess what I'm saying is if you didn't put gas in the car and you're on your way home, you could either drive home or you can walk, but you're out of gas. So at this point, you're either walking or you're going to sleep there in the car. I mean, there's really no other option. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you think, might make sense that you can walk, 2 miles and get gas and then bring it back to the car and it'll get you there faster. That's a certain perspective, but I don't see it that way. But again,
I appreciate that analogy, sir. I guess my question is, I don't think analogy is spot on. And the question is, EasyIQC is doing their process. They need certain information which they're going to come in the building and get from us. While that's going on, could we be doing something else in another process? Is my simple question. So you don't have to be. I'm personally not understanding why both can't be occurred.
I guess my question would be, if we set a date, because if we do pursue both paths and we get EasyIQ in 2 weeks, are we waiting another week or two for the RFP so we hold up the decision until we have both? Or can we just set a date and say, look, you got 2 weeks and we'll have EasyIQ in 2 weeks. If we go in parallel, the vendors have to have something back in 2 weeks.
Yes, you can. You can specify the time frame, whatever you like.
Because I don't want to sit here and hold up and wait until we get all these bids back. If we can start the project, it sounds like EasyIQ is the fastest way to go.
Again, I'm open to whatever your preference is. I think I've already stated, and I think it's pretty clear that, you know, you could get RFPs and you could price certain aspects of the job, but you can't do the whole job unless you're going to do it. So, you know, through the program or through the identified way at this point. But I certainly do recognize that, you know, miracles have happened before. And so, you know, there's no harm, right? Write the RFPs as long as we can see them and everything is fine. There's no harm with doing parallel paths. What's the harm? Yes, Ms. Pampel.
Yes, that's my question. What's the harm?
Right. And a couple of board members want to speak. You should be able to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Mary Lee, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, got it. Okay, so my question is this: we're kind of going back and forth. What's the advantage? What's the disadvantage to doing both and doing just the Easy IQ? Like, Mike, you've had experience clearly doing the Easy IQ or whatever it is through John Reed. Okay,
and
clearly you
RES,
saw it was a smooth, and RES, and clearly you saw it was a smooth path, correct? Okay, but Clarence seems to have experience using a different method, and he's clearly seen success through that. So is there a way to, like, in a nutshell, what's the advantage, disadvantage of the two paths?
Well, okay, so in a nutshell, I guess what I would say is this. You're talking about the complete project, right? So if you're going to competitively bid a complete project, I know you weren't on the board when we did the campus improvement project, okay? So the campus improvement project included tennis courts, the running track, the driveway,
sidewalks,
steps. I was trying to get them all, but I'll forget. But anyway, each one of those aspects is a separate project, right? So what do? So we hired a architectural design firm, Gale Associates, for the tune of a quarter of what you're seeking to spend on this project. And they put together drawings, RFP package for each aspect, specifications, everything for the entire project. Then we put the project out to competitive bid. You put it on the websites and it goes out and all the contractors can bid on it, right? Now, we stipulated that we would have one general contractor that would supervise all the other subcontractors, but the architectural representative also provided project management from Boston. And so when you do it that way, you have drawings that, so that the people who are doing the driveway, they can look at the drawing for the driveway and see exactly what they're bidding on, and they can bid on that aspect of the driveway, right? Now, the contractor that is going to get the whole job, he's got to pick up any of the loose ends, right? If the driveway is bid a certain way, but there's a couple of storm drains in the middle that nobody figured, someone's got to pay for that, right? So that's where all that comes in. But it's all got to be done based upon engineered drawings and everything like that. So as we're using the program is an inclusive program where they're drawing the plans and engineering the HVAC, and they're also managing the project and doing most of the work, if not all the work themselves. And so the advantage of that is the price, again, has been vetted through the state according to the competitive bidding process up front on that task catalog. And so you can move faster on that because it's one project that's kind of bundled with that contractor through that program. When you want to do it individually, you need to have someone assemble it as a package, and that someone has to know a lot about construction, because if the plans for putting the HVAC units on the roof didn't include a roof curbing up there, your contractor is going to come with the new unit and say, yep, where's the curb I'm supposed to put this on? And you see what I mean? It gets very complicated. There's got to be somebody who's in charge, who has that expertise, who's done that before, you know? And so again, I understand, I know Mr. Zachary has done a lot of these projects, but again, I don't know how many he's hands-on managed. I think it's more, you would hire someone who would have that level of expertise that would do that. So I don't think that's fair to put that expectation on our staff. So that's, I guess, the difference between the two paths. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'd also like to hear from Clarence if he could just explain, you know,
Mary Lee, from my perspective, I think both are viable programs. I've actually used both, so I'm familiar with both. I've done both. To me, I like keeping my options open. So I like to have various options and weigh the data from the various options and make an informed decision. So if I have a certain time period where Easy IQC needs to get work done before they can give me a written proposal, I'd like to use that time to see what others have to say. Like right now, as I said, for all aspects of this project, with the exception of the bleachers, we've already gotten written quotes from at least 2 vendors already. So we have a general idea of what the costs are going to be. Mike's point about project management comes down to whether you have a GC, a clerk of the works, a project manager, whatever the case be, to shepherd it through. And Mike's absolutely correct that you need someone to shepherd it through. To me, I would just like to get all the data and information I could to make an informed decision. Because unless I'm misinterpreting what Mike is saying, he's saying make a choice now to proceed in one direction. And I'm saying, okay, we can do that, but do we have to? Is it necessary for us to make that decision at this point in time? Or can we take the 2 weeks to get more data and then make that decision when we have things to review and look at? So I'm not opposed to the IQC, Easy IQC, because like I said, I've used it before. I just want to have as many data points as possible to make an informed decision. And based on that data, I make my recommendation, you make yours, we all come to a conclusion, this is the best option, let's go, let's proceed, let's go get it done.
Right, and that's fine. Look, I'm fine. I don't want to beat this thing to death here, but the one question that I would say, or that I would ask, is so that Mr. Zachary, in your opinion, you can complete all aspects of this project this summer, going the competitive bid route, and you feel that you could probably bring it in for the same, if not less money than what we're talking about through this program?
Mike, the only caveat I would say in response to that is the chillers. Because when I've talked to HVAC, getting the chillers actually physically here is going to be problematic given the supply chain and the cost of the chillers. So everything else but the chillers, yes. But the chillers is a critical component of it. So I can't say yes because of the chillers. So if Easy IQC says they can get the chillers here, great. But I'd like to see it in writing. I've had 2 vendors, HVAC vendors, decline to come visit Joel Barlow because they didn't think they can get the chillers. I've had one said they can get it. So whoever says they can get it, I want it in writing. Because I've had other vendors say, can't do it, you're 4 to 5 months out. So my question is, for those who say they can do it, how can you do it and the next guy can't? Well, now maybe you have some supply chain connections, but I need to know before I sign you up, when you tell me you can get it, I want to make sure you can actually get it. Because I've had at least 2 firms say, sorry, Clarence, we'd love to do the work, but given your time frame, we don't think it's possible. So I said, thank you very much for the insight, and I moved on.
Okay.
So if I got 2 firms saying they can get it, my question for them is, how can you get it and other people can't? And that would be my question for whether it's competitive bid or Easy IQC. How can you do it when others are saying they can't do it?
No, and that's fair. And so I think we should move on, because again, I think having the chillers here right away is something I would love to do. But I'm somewhat confused because it seems like the administration is saying they'd rather wait until the fall, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. Let's pursue both paths. Let's pursue both paths. I encourage you, get the pricing and let's see, because you know what, if we don't want to go with the Easy IQC program, I think it's important that we can fall back and well, not fall back, that's the wrong term, that we can go in a different direction, and that, you know, the administration can complete this project to the expectations this summer. I think that's great. So I think we should pursue both paths.
So what, can we go 2 weeks out on the 7th? I mean, I'd like to set a date. I don't want us like waiting 3-4 weeks, because we're going to be in April and then we're not going to get this project done. So can we give a deadline back to the RFP vendors and a deadline to Easy IQC?
Sure. So you got to write the RFPs. Then
I know all that, but
10 days. No, then you're going to have to do 10 days for them to be able to bid, you know, and then you're going to have to open the bids. So you're 2 weeks out probably with that anyway, if Clarence could write them all by the end of the week.
Right, which he said he would. So what do we, if we get them out at the end of the week, so what do we say, the 9th then and not the 7th?
Again, I have no preference to what you're doing with the RFPs or whatever. I will advise the program.
ECIQ's got to come down and do their review. And
I would advise them to do it as quickly as possible and to do that. And like I said, I think I'm absolutely fine with letting the administration go down that separate path, as long as, like I say, we can review everything before it goes out to make sure that we're
no, I'm good. So we the 7th or the 9th? I'm looking for a date.
No,
I don't want this to drag out.
I have no preference,
because we've got to make a decision and get through all the other, you know, parts of our process. And
the date is what for Easy IQC, because like I said, I can only guide them. It's a state watchdog group that, you know, I can tell them 2 weeks and they might say you're not getting it for
we can
free.
only guide the vendors as well, right? They may not be able to get it done and ask for an extension, right?
Correct. So we can get the price proposal as quickly as possible. So I don't know if Clarence has done the math and the timeline regarding the RFPs and when he feels he could have all of that stuff done. Again, we would have to publicly open all those bids and do all that, which we usually do as a committee as well. So
Mr. Board Chair, what I would recommend is to give Easy IQC and potential competitive bidders time. Those 2 days between the 7th and 9th may be critical for them. So have everything due by the 9th. We have a break. Schools are out that following week, which means we have time that we could be reviewing whatever comes in, and then you could meet to discuss and make a decision.
I'm good with that. If other board members, I mean, that, yeah, like I said, I don't want to get it, give them too far, because we still have a lot of work we've got to do. So the sooner we can get it, review, make a decision. Right?
Yeah, you're again, you're essentially you're out of time. So the quickest is better. So
I'm good with the 9th if everybody else is. I mean, that works.
But again, I think we're discussing, we're saying that we like the 9th, right?
We're giving them a deadline.
We're going to make a motion to say everybody's going to have their stuff.
No, but we're giving a deadline. So Clarence has to put a date for a response in the RFP. You need to give guidance to Easy IQ when they need to get down here and get something back to us. So we're throwing out the 9th. And if vendors have problems or Easy IQ, come back and look at it. But we need to give them a target date so they don't take 3-4 weeks, right?
Well, the RFP you have a date on, and
I know
EZIQC, they want to move as quickly as they can.
Yeah. So the 9th, right?
Sure.
And I don't know on the RFP, is it 10 days? Clarence wants it. I'm assuming we have.
You can set whatever you want, but 10
set whatever.
days is really the minimum you want to go.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure we're not like getting ourselves in trouble if you have to give them 15 days and we
can set whatever day we want, but as a courtesy to the vendors, 10 days is what he's saying to give them a chance to, you know.
Okay. So
you're going to get a lot of contractors that won't bid after 10 days. They want more time, but 10 days is really the minimum, I would say.
Well, and it sounds like a few of them have already started looking at some of this anyway, so they got to jump.
Absolutely.
So let's give them 10 days. Let's the 9th, if that works for everybody, to get
to
get everything back. And then we can review stuff and then do another, committee meeting. Either, the week of, probably not the week of spring break, but soon thereafter.
Well,
Or if we need to do it spring break week, we can do that as well. I want to keep things moving.
Yeah. So what we'll have to keep fluid is we may need to have another committee meeting so that we can review the RFPs and make sure everything is in order, and then we get it sent out. So
yeah. So
we can do that.
So after the RFP is written, we would need another meeting to look at that, you're saying, and then once they're out.
I think that's
so. Is that a Friday or a Monday?
I think that's a choice to make. Like the committee chair feels he needs a meeting. I'm not sure that's certain, but whatever you want to do, you can meet to discuss it. You can do it via email, share your comments, whatever you guys want to do.
But if the intent would be to review the RFP before it goes out, if you have it written by Friday, right, we're looking at a Monday meeting unless we're meeting over the weekend.
Correct.
To give you enough time, Clarence, to write them, right? I mean,
yeah,
it is Wednesday night late.
I guess my point is if I get them out and you guys review them on the weekend, you can meet on Monday to talk about them and then take it from there.
Then they go out the door to the vendor and they still have 10 days.
Yeah.
Or vendors.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, it's been past practice that we review them. Obviously, so we're the committee. It's tough to put
can we do a Monday?
Spot that
I don't know. Can people look at their calendar for Monday for this committee? What would be the 29th? I mean, if we've got to do another special meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna look.
I don't know what's on. I gotta look. I don't know what's on. I'm sure we have some meeting that night. Meetings like every night. Especially Clarence, you got like what?
Yeah, I'm free Monday, so I don't know if other members.
Yeah, I can do Monday.
Unmute yourself, or if you have a conflict, wave your hand. How's that?
Yeah.
It seems like everybody can make.
You have like double the meetings because you got to go between or triple because you got to go all 3 districts.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a question of timing of the meetings. I can have multiple meetings on. I've got a special meeting for the Reading Board of Education at 7. So if we did something at 6, I'd be fine.
Okay, we do something before that. So can people do 6, 5:30, 6 on the 29th?
Yeah, we can do 6. I can't do any earlier than 6.
Okay, so 6 on the 29th.
Does that work for everyone for all your schedules? Yes. Okay.
And then we'll look for getting so that'll be to review the RPs. Then they go out the door, and then we're looking for everybody, Easy IQ vendors, everybody on the 9th. It's our target deadline.
It's a request. I think the chairman of the board saying it's a request. He's not holding
a request.
No, I get it that it's a request, but I'm just saying, going through a state run or a state sanctioned agency in a few days is kind of wishful thinking, I think.
They got 10 days. Well, they have more than that because if you start them tomorrow, they've got 11 days, working days.
But they're not going to start tomorrow. They're going to start maybe mid next week. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's leave it that way, and let's be hopeful. How's that?
Yeah.
We'll do our best. That's all.
Well, I mean, and I guess the big thing is they need to get down to the school and look at stuff, right? I mean, we got to get that scheduled, and they got to get in and do that, right?
Yeah, that can be arranged, I'm sure, very quickly.
Yeah, Walter can show them. If not, I mean, I've got keys. We'll get anyone in that needs to
get them in and look at stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like we have a plan.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? We can stay until midnight, and it's only 8:30. Nobody's objecting. Okay.
Objecting to midnight, yes.
Oh, okay. So we will move on then to our next item, which again, I left on here. I don't know whether it's relevant, but it helps. I don't know if there's any update on the boiler repair. Walter, is it complete? Is it not complete? Do we have a projected date? And is everything under control, I guess?
No.
No to which part of that, Walter?
Yes. Okay,
there are like
so
3 questions there.
Yeah, and it's yes and no to everything. So here's the bottom line. They were told that New Hampshire had the boiler section in stock. They went up to pick it up. It was not in stock. There is not one available in the country. The problem that we're running into is Verdeas now has, I guess the best way to say it is they're discontinuing that series of boilers in this country. They are supporting them. Parts are in Germany. We have a boiler section on a ship headed here. Should be here now beginning of May. I hope it's not on the Titanic.
We're in the Suez Canal.
Yeah, we're going through the Suez.
Yeah, this is, there's a lot of frustration around this because the Verdeas boilers have been fantastic. Parts availability is something I'm going to be looking at for future. And do we get a couple of sections to have in stock? I hate to do that, but I also, if we run into a winter situation, we're coming into warm weather. I'm not worried about it right now. And we are looking at ways to protect the boilers for future to try and make sure this doesn't happen again. But the fact that we can't get a section, the particular section, because it's the feed section, like 14 of the sections are identical, and then there's 3 that are not. This is one of the 3 that are not.
Of course.
Yeah, it is headed here. Verdeas said it is on a ship. It's headed over. We're expecting it beginning of May. I've been in constant contact with our vendor who is, deals directly with Verdeas. It's a little frustrating based on Verdeas's reputation not to have a part available in this country right now.
Right. So Verdeas is Bosch now, right? So it's
conglomerate. Yeah.
Yeah. So they may be looking at redesigning certain things and going with different models and stuff like that. But
yeah.
The question that I would have is, did you have the technician examine the other boiler in the same place to make sure that it's not starting to crack? Because again, as I noted previously, usually these boilers, if they crack in the same place. It's usually manufacturing, unless it's water and they're not being blown down and it's something like that. That is totally a separate thing. But again, not that you can do anything about it, but just it would be prudent to have him take a look at that other boiler in the same spot and make sure. And then really all we can do is wait for the section, right?
Yeah, I can't take that other boiler offline to check it because it's
no. You can't take it apart. You should be able to see it. Where did it crack? Did it crack in the top or did it crack on the bottom?
Down in the bottom.
Mike, the cracks on the bottom, and you can see the buildup from the minerals from the water.
Walter, it means they weren't blown down. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, so May, so we're keeping an eye. Do you have a tracking app for it, Walter, or something that we can keep an eye as it crosses?
I don't have a tracking app, but I am in constant communication with our contractor on it because they're more frustrated than I am. I'm just thankful we're going to be going into cooling season with one bad compressor as compared to staying in heating season with one bad boiler.
I don't know which is better.
Welcome to my world.
I don't like either option, to tell you the truth.
No, I don't like being cold, so I'm gonna go the boiler.
You could always put a jacket on, right? But you can't. Okay, so thank you, Walter, for that up. And finally, I did put capital plan review on there, and the reason that is on there, as we do with every meeting, is so that if there's again, we have our capital plan, we have our documents, okay, and so that gives you the opportunity, Walter and Clarence and Gina, to notify the committee if anything else seems to be showing signs, or if everything is running well, or anything that you want to notify us relating to that capital plan.
Do we have I was looking for the latest version of that. Is it somewhere?
It's typically sent to us for every meeting, but we haven't been receiving it. I can send an email to Sharon and start to request that.
Yeah, can we get it sent back? Because I was just going back through my emails to look, and I have an older version, so if that could get sent out. to the committee, that would be good.
Right.
I don't think there are any changes since the last time we looked at it.
No changes to items. The only change would be to the balance of the reserve, and that would only be based upon the tractor, I guess, was the most recent purchase. So that would be the only thing that would have affected it. Other than that, it should have the same, pretty close to the same amount.
Yep. Yeah, and we probably want to make sure the tractor's struck off of it, right? Or if we got to do that to remove it from the plan, since it's done.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, yes. We want to remove it. We used to have the debate as whether they had to stay on for a certain number of years. No, we take it off. So
take it off, or we strike through whatever we want to do. We need to do it so people know it's done.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So so you'll have Sharon send that around, then maybe either at our next Monday meeting or one.
I will have her do it for our next meeting. I had to do the agenda quickly, so I just sent her the agenda, and I didn't think about it. But we did have that problem last meeting too, so I will start.
Not complaining, just trying to keep up on process.
No. We should have it. You got to have the material in front of you to make good decisions. So, okay, that brings us on to our last public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a comment at this time? Yes, Ms. Crivet. You are unmuted, so you can speak.
I unmuted myself. So I just want to make a comment sort of vaguely related to the other public comments, but not really. It's the end of March, and I was coming home today, and it occurred to me that when I turn into Barlow Drive now, when I'm coming home or leaving, that for the first time in many years, I don't have to worry that I'm gonna break an axle. And I'm sure that I'm not the only person that notices when they drive up and down Barlow Drive that they don't have to look at the pavement quite as carefully, especially this time of year as they have in past years. And so every time I go out now, it occurs to me how nice it is to drive in and out and not have to worry. Mm-hmm. And that project, has very visible, obvious things that improve the school, not only the way it looks, but the way it works, just pavement wise. And the other thing I wanted to say is the stadium, I never saw a project add so much value to the school as that stadium project. And I mean in every way, the way the kids feel about it. I was a coach. I did field hockey coaching one season shortly after it was done. And, people talked about it, the girls on the team. And I just see, you can really see the results of these projects. So I just want to say that, speaking as someone who, has no children in the school, I'm not a parent, I'm not, I'm not a teacher, I have no educational background, but I see the benefits of these projects firsthand, and they are really there. So I'm sure the improving the air systems in the school is going to have another great benefit, and lots of people are going to be grateful for it. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, any other public comments? Seeing none, committee member comment. I'm sure somebody has something to say. It's only been an hour and 40 minutes. No takers.
I would just say, okay. I share Suzanne's sentiment about it is a nice drive down through Barlow Drive now, and I do have to go a little bit slower because of the speed bumps, where before that was really not a concern because you had to watch the potholes. So I'm very happy with the visible improvements on there as well, and look forward to seeing Walter on the backhoe, hopefully not plowing any snow, but doing some other work around on the grounds, and look forward to a cool gymnasium programs going on in there or lunch in the fall if people are still eating in there in the cafeteria. But
he's out doing wheelies in the back of the John Deere.
Right. Well, actually, now that we have the new tractor, again, circling back, I know Walter's aware. I don't know if Clarence is aware, but we did have some peripheral landscaping items that we were going to take care of. And I don't know whether we had an outside vendor do that. We did have some monies put aside for that. But also now that we have the new tractor and everything, it might be an option that we could do some of that in-house. So I think it's nice to have a new piece of equipment that can take care of a lot of your needs, probably, much better than it did before. I know Mr. Santangeli is probably looking forward to the new tractor, so I think it's great. So
I've seen him drive. He's not allowed near it.
We gotta get more insurance.
Hey, we could have hay rides in the autumn. Walter, you could drive.
I don't know if Joe will let me touch it either.
Okay.
I'm only his boss.
Enough foolishness. So, okay. So, does someone want to make that motion that they've been so striving to make since we started? The one that says we can go home, even though we're already home. Gwen, move to adjourn. Is there a second? Mary Lee. Okay. Juliet, sorry, you're just a little slow on that one. Okay. All in favor? Great. Thank you.